Chad, do we talk about the whole like working a 9 to 5 is not as hard as streaming? Because I part of me wants to like play a little bit of devil's advocate, right? And say I can kind of see what they mean when they said that it can be like more mentally taxing, considering that, you know, 24/7 you got people having an opinion about you, and it's like the only thing that's kind of like, you know, that you're thinking of. But at the same time, if that's something that you weren't prepared to like start doing right off the bat, and like didn't know that there was going to be, you know, the thing, then I guess this wasn't for you to begin with. A 9 to 5 is always going to be way more difficult and just way harder on everything, right? There is no way that you can tell me that someone has to get up at like, you know, 6, 7 a.m. to make sure that they're on time, have to go through a bunch of commutes and trains, buses, traffic, whatever the case may be, and then finally when they're done after a hard day's work, they go home, go through like the same shit of like commutes, traffic, you know, trains, buses, whatever the case may be. By the time that they're home, you know, it's like what, 6, 7 or something if they're all lucky. Then I have to like, you know, do all the things around the house and shit like that. And meanwhile, as a streamer or content creator, you know, you set your alarm, if any, at whatever time you feel like, and you just make sure that there's enough content that goes up. If you reach a certain point in a content career as a content creator where you make that much money, you can pay people to start doing the editing and all the hard work for you. You're literally living the dream, and you could just lay in bed, scroll through your phone while you just watch all the cars in your neighborhood fuck off to actually have an actual job. You know, it's like I joked to Pelly about it on Twitter, where I was like, yeah, bro, I mean, it's really difficult for me to get up at like 2 p.m. and then roll out of bed, and then maybe I'll just scroll through my phone a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, I'll bother going to the gym, and eventually I might post some clickbait, but that's really exhausting stuff. Working 9 to 5 is not as stressful as people claim it to be. It depends on the job. That's, you know, depends on the job. Streaming is harder. 9 to 5 job, you get evenings off. Streaming, no time off. Your hobby is now work. True, but at the same time, I still very much feel streaming is to be a hobby, though. Right? It's something that I definitely take a lot more serious. But that doesn't inherently mean that it's like, you know, something that I don't really enjoy. Like with anything, everything has its ups and its downs. And Mentor making the argument of like, you know, there is an argument to be made about like the unstable income, but again, that's also something that you know and that you choose. Like it also depends on what kind of content you make, I suppose, as well. Like if you're a GTA Online content creator, your life is fucked right now. You are not having a good time. It's like, oh, that's a nice savings account, bye bye, just one more year, yeah, hang in there, man. But nah, I mean, I think like there's way more benefits to being a content creator than there's downsides, right? The amount of, and that kind of goes with like being any sort of entrepreneur type of thing, right? Because you can make your own hours, and yeah, sure, while days can be quote unquote long, at the end of the day though, like you're doing something that I presume you enjoy doing, right? The word GTA, when GTA 6 comes out, you have 3 lemons outside of your apartment. Yeah, it's fine. The pre GTA 6 Hunger Games, will only the strongest will survive, yeah. But no, I mean, honestly, like personally, I've done both, right? I've done the 4.5 years of like an actual like full-time job, 9 to 5, the everything, right? And while there is no doubt that with the amount of, you know, with like time-wise, I definitely, I guess, do more in terms of hours. I just enjoy this way more, but at the same time, it's like with any job, it has its ups and its downs, right? And I think that there's way more ups than downs when it comes to streaming. It also kind of depends on like how you, I guess, manage your community too. Because like as a channel owner and as someone who will have like moderators and things like that helping out and that sort of stuff, and if you're in a fortunate enough position where you can also be generous to them and like, you know, compensate them for their time and their efforts, which is something that I still want to do but can't at the moment, then, you know, like I strongly feel that being a content creator when you're starting out is way more difficult than later down the line. if you eventually reach a point where you make enough money where you can start hiring like editors and basically like a lot of people to do stuff for you, like to, I guess, give an example, someone like Viper or like, you know, that sort of size, right? It becomes way easier, and it just basically more becomes about like you produce the content and they edit the content, and you know, you basically start managing people rather than, you know, you start more so running a business than creating content, which is still part of it, but like it's basically the thing that fuels the engine, if you will, right? Like it's not like myself where like, you know, every day I'm trying to like video ideas and then working that. Like size makes things easier, and I guess in some regards size does matter. And Mentor once again like points out something like it depends on the job with a 9 to 5, because, you know, in his case he has to constantly use his brain, and with my case as a content creator that's a thing too, so, you know. And then, you know, sometimes he wouldn't mind a job stacking boxes or something where I could just shut my brain off and do manual labor. Yeah, but at the same time, like there's obviously like mentally challenging jobs and there's like physically challenging jobs, and both has the ups and downs, I suppose. Streaming requires some hard work, but it requires more luck to be successful on Twitch. While I wrote like construction jobs, pilots, emergency jobs, and stars actually requires hard skill work and skill. Undoubtedly, there's no way about that, for sure. Assuming you do actually enjoy what you're doing and there isn't really a money incentive behind it. No, there really isn't for me. When it comes to streaming, there really isn't. Like I just generally, the main satisfaction that I get out of streaming and making videos is like, you know, how are people enjoying it, and I guess like sure, money is a part of it, but it's not really my primary focus. When I make a video and a video does well, my first thought isn't, oh nice, I'm gonna make X amount of money with it. I never really look at individual revenue for videos, unless like a video does really well and I'm like, oh hey, you know, the guide for X, Y, and Z got 100,000 views, like the Ghost one for example, and I look at the revenue and I see like the revenue is like, you know, rather high for it. It's like, oh neat, you know. But like at the end of the day, like I've reached a point where I have a rough idea how much comes in on a monthly basis, and you know, I just kind of just do my thing, and I just prioritize just trying to make videos and streams and stuff that I personally enjoy and I'm like passionate about, right? The trilogy comparison between like the default and lighting and the classic lighting, I didn't really expect doing too well, but it ended up doing like a lot better than I thought it was gonna do. And my first thought genuinely was, this is, you know, cool, the video did a lot better than I thought it was gonna do. And it once again just simply boiled down to, I was happy with how many views it got rather than like how much money it was going to make me. Because if you were to ask me how much money it made, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like there's no two ways about the fact, or there's no secret in the fact that you know, like content creation and streaming and stuff like that, it's something that can very much drive you insane. I know this from a personal perspective too, because at some point I basically let it take over my entire life, which resulted into some, well, lesser positive moments on stream and stuff, right? Like, you know, burnt the fuck out and that sort of stuff, because I was just basically just doing nothing but that 24/7. So there is an importance in finding the right balance with it, and if you find that right balance, then you can really just lead the right life that you might want to set up for yourself. It also is definitely like a lot of luck involved too, but at some point like there's a mix and also of luck and skill, because you obviously gotta know what makes for a good thumbnail, what makes for a good video, what makes for a good title, etc. But after that, after you upload the video and you think you've done things right, it comes down to a degree of luck. If it makes, for example, the trilogy video, again, didn't expect it to do well, but I'd like to think that I got lucky because, the video was uploaded relatively late, but it still did relatively well. I think something like streaming is something that you also kind of develop as a skill over time, right? Like you start to understand and learn, like, hey, what ticks or what works or what doesn't work, etc. Right? A lot of people think, oh, I just start streaming and like, oh, why I'm not a bigger streamer? But like, it's one of those things that just takes a very, very long time to grow, and there's definitely a degree of luck involved, without a doubt. As my you know, because not everyone can start streaming, but not everyone can become a streamer, if that makes sense. And to roll back on the your brain is always active, there's been so many times where randomly out of nowhere my brain goes, oh, this could be a video idea. I'll be walking, like, you know, past midnight, doing like a nice walk with Mel, you know, just, you know, like on one of our anniversaries, and out of nowhere a video idea pops in my head, and I'm like, excuse me for a moment, I have to write this down, right? Like, it basically takes over your life, but it's also something they could really enjoy, right? Like, I genuinely really enjoy what I do, and one of the main reasons why I look forward to GTA 6 is because I'm just genuinely looking forward to just making a bunch of really cool videos, making a bunch of guides, making like a lot of cool things, and seeing the channel grow. Like, that's my main motivation and my main thing that I thoroughly enjoy. Making cool videos, seeing people respond to it, and growing the channels, like seeing it grow. But the flip side of seeing it go down is fucking heartbreaking. And that keeps you up at night as well. There's a lot of highs and there's a very lot of lows. And it's something that can be very mentally taxing, and it also requires you to really tell yourself, like, hey, there's going to be big highs and there's going to be very big lows. And right now, for me personally, I'm in that big low when it comes to the channel, right? I've never made it a secret. I've been very open about it, that currently when it comes to the, you know, when it comes to the YouTube channel, and also a little bit of the Twitch channel too, it's like, you know, it's not what it used to be. But my main thing to keep going is, like, next year we got GTA 6, and hopefully in 2025 stuff will, you know, flip around for the better. But if it doesn't, then it is what it is, type of thing, right? There's not much you can really, like, some things are just simply not within your control, especially if you are a gaming creator that particularly focuses on one type of game, right? It's something that can be extremely satisfying and gratifying, especially if you're someone, you know, I mean, in my case, I get a lot of kick out of, like, finding new ways of making videos better and make them more interesting, and developing that skill and that sort of stuff. And then looking back at videos uploaded a year ago and think, hey, you know, that wasn't as good, and I've actually seen an improvement and stuff like that. And even the chat is the same. Yeah, exactly. Like the same thing with, like, with chat, and, like, you know, like to compare, for example, when Casino Heist came out, right? When it initially started out, I had, like, you know, like 200 people watching, and when I guess the peak that I had on stream was, like, I think it was Chaos Mod Season 2 during the COVID times, where like 400 or 500 people watching Chaos Mod, and it was just, you know, ridiculous. But, you know, that isn't the case anymore. And I mean, I guess, like, you know, I guess COVID in that regard, and that period of time, like 2020 to 2022, like, that's where I guess I had peaked at that time. It's also just to do with people just wanting GTA 6. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, something like the 10th anniversary video was really, really cool as well, and those sort of things I just genuinely enjoyed making, because it wasn't really that, again, it was just a passion project, like the GTA 3 Titan mod, like stuff like that, just developing skills and trying to see if I can, you know, become better, because everything that I'm doing, like getting better at X, Y, and Z, all just boils down to I want to become better and prepare myself for the incoming Big Six. It goes without saying, obviously, that I'm forever grateful to be in a position and being able to do what I do as said living. And I will definitely not go out without a fight. That is for sure. Just some thoughts, I guess, about the 95 that turned out to be something completely different. And thank you, Third Gen, for the 100 biddies. I appreciate you. And I appreciate everyone else as well.